Hi guys, and welcome to another speed paint of my Patreon's image of the month. Now for those of you not in the know, the image of the month is one chosen and voted for by my Patreons each month. Now this video is for the August image, so this video has been a little delayed. Fortunately, I caught a number of conflus in between like August through to like October, which has made both work and recording very difficult the last couple of months, but finally, here it is. So for August, my Patreons voted for me to draw a picture of Tabaxi, which, I'll be honest, was very outside of my usual range, but it's always good to kind of give yourself a challenge every so often, even if it does end up with you kind of pulling your hair out at times, yelling at the piece of work, going, how does this even work? Originally, I tried drawing this on my iPad Pro whilst I was in bed sick, but couldn't get it to work. Whilst I wasn't happy with how it looked, I did like the composition of the piece, so what I did instead was I chose to import it into SpeedPaint on my PC once I was feeling better to give it a second attempt. Now, for those of you not in the know, Tabaxis are a cat-like race from Dungeons & Dragons, and as a lot of my Patreons are D&D players, it wasn't too surprising that they went with this, even though they know full well that I was like, no please, I don't know how to draw this. Now, because of its associate with Dungeons & Dragons, when most people think of D&D, they usually associate it heavily with Western fantasy, which is not what I wanted to do for this piece. I do a lot of D&D work, which means I'm often leaning into Western fantasy, and I was like, okay, I want to try something a bit different, so I went with more of a Arabian-esque sort of feel to it. Now, I didn't do a lot of research for this, outside of a little bit for the buildings, so my Disney, like Aladdin, is going to be showing here. It's not historically accurate or cultural accurate, so please forgive me for that. As I knew I was probably going to struggle with this piece, mainly because I very rarely draw animals and I don't particularly draw anthropomorphized characters very much. So it meant that I knew that I needed to go with a style that I was going to be more comfortable without trying anything too adventurous. So I ended up going with my flatter, more textured painting style for this, as it was just one of those things where I knew it was going to be easier for me to do. Now, I almost always never paint straight onto a white canvas, so sometimes I find this kind of is a bit daunting and can lead a lot to procrastination, so you just end up staring at it going, I don't even know where to start. So what I tend to do is do a loose sketch and then just try and get colour down it as quickly as possible. Also, I tend to find that white can be very glaring on a digital display, so by putting in like another colour it can just help my eyes just a bit better and help me sort of work on the painting a little quicker. With this style, you'll see that I tend to use like a rough sketch as an outline, and then I predominantly block the base colours in first before then going back to add detail. I find this helps me figure out composition, if it's working for me or not, if there's any glaring things that aren't working, because essentially what you're doing is putting down those silhouettes first and then filling it in afterwards. It also helps because it allows you to just check those colour choices before you start adding in a lot of other things. You can block it down and go, yep, they work together or not, before adding more things in later. You'll also see throughout this picture that I sporadically seem to open old pieces of work that I've done before. This is usually me referencing previous pieces that I've worked on, just to see how I've done things that I've liked before, the effects and how they came out. So in this case you'll see me bringing up a cat charm design that I did, as well as a previous illustration that I'd done of one of my own characters in this painting style, to see like, okay, what had I done before and how it looked then, and seeing if I could replicate that. It's always a good thing to remember, guys, that don't be afraid to use references, even if you're using it for either anatomy or style choices, even if you're referencing yourself, because of you're learning. Like, drawing is a language, and you don't just pick up a language by just hearing something once and going again. You will reference things. You have reference books, you have dictionaries, you have things that you've written before. So yeah, don't be afraid to look at things. And what also can help if you're doing a big illustration, a good starting point can sometimes be to do loads of sketches or have a mood board. Before I do any of these large illustrations, I'll usually have several images of things that I've liked, paintings done by other artists, to see, okay, what did I like about this? See if I can integrate that into my piece. I don't copy the compositions, but it helps me sort of focus on what I want to do with the piece. Anyway, I think that's enough of me babbling, so I'm going to just let the rest of the video play, and I hope you enjoy watching my process. Hey guys, before you go, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. Doing a voiceover for this sort of video is a new thing for me, so please don't be afraid to comment with what sort of things you'd like me to talk about in the future, or if you've got any other feedback. Also, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my Patreon supporters who, without them, I would not be able to make these videos. If you'd like to become a Patreon and get your name up here with all these wonderful folks, as well as get access to a lot of other cool benefits, there is a link in the doobly-doo below alongside all my social media links, so feel free to give a look and I'll see you next time.